spotlight because if I can take this Kevin down, goodness gracious, I'm special. Narcissistic trolls, and many of them are, which has been proven, is I'm special. And you know what? You need to pay attention to me. Put the spotlight on me. And this is what part of that narcissistic bent, and they come after me all the time, is that this Dr. Nuccitelli idiot, we're just trying to, and what I'm learning is now, as I'm doing, educational media like tonight, they actually will say, I saw it today, did he mention me? Did that Dr. Nucci talk about? And if I were to give you a list of known trolls that we're presently dealing with, I guarantee it. Tonight or tomorrow morning, I would go into Facebook or Google Plus, and I've got them all identified. You'll see them in their little community saying, guess what? He mentioned me, that doctor, blah, 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 blah. Because it's all about them. Mind you, they're not sitting here talking to each other in a little group saying, you really shouldn't be doing this. They're getting off on being recognized because they feel they're special. They think it's a game. And this is the sadistic piece, they feel aroused by it. They feel like they've won. And that is the narcissistic piece, is I am special. Pay attention to me. And you know what? Damn it, Kevin, you better be paying attention to me because I am internet troll and whatever the username I'm using. Pay attention to me. That's the narcissist. And then the last one, which I have spent most of my time studying, and this is even outside of internet trolls, is psychopathic. And
my favorite.
Well, the thing with psychopathic is you have, and the listeners need to understand, and also there's a difference between being a psychopath and behaving in a psychopathic manner. So the Dark Tetra and the research that came out from University of Manitoba and the Dark Tetrad is psychopathic, the IC, add that IC after there. Not to say that there's not internet trolls that are psychopaths, okay? But psychopathic is an actual, it's a way of acting. Psychopathic means, and for psychopath, is when I troll you, Kevin, and I just got you fired or I got your wife or I don't feel any guilt, no shame, no remorse, no empathy, nothing.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I've always told people about psychopaths is the first big sign to look for is that they do not feel guilt over mistakes they've made in the past, especially when it comes to the types of mistakes that would involve hurting other people.
Right. Well, unfortunately, and it's not that it's unfortunate, is that, where you're saying that narcissistic is a buzzword, which you are correct, by the way, doctor, is that psychopath and psychopathic is even a bigger buzzword. He's such a psychopath.
Right.
The first thing we have to understand about psychopaths, the vast, and I'll say it one more time, vast majority of psychopaths are not serial killers.
Right.
Okay? Now, most serial killers, yes, are psychopaths. Unless you get the really, really crazy ones. But when you look at Dennis Rader, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, I have studied psychopathy now for it's probably going on close to 10 to 12 years. And I actually remember in doctoral school, and this is where I have a little bit of antithesis towards my industry of psychology, because even in doctoral school, I would always raise my hand because particularly when we would be being taught about antisocial personality disorder and people that not just break the laws, but that are sadistic. I used to say, well, when are we going to learn about the psychopath? Well, the behavioral sciences, not the forensic criminals, but the mental health, used to tell me that we don't address that because it is a psychiatric illness. There's no such thing as a psychopath, which in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, 5th edition, is the Bible for psychologists, psychiatrists, and behavioral healthcare professionals. In that book, there is no diagnostic criteria, code, anything mentioned for psychopath. Even now in 2015, what is said in the DSM-5, that would be an Axis 2 diagnosis of a personality disorder called antisocial personality disorder, APD.
Right.
But psychopath is not even recognized. Now we move into the world of criminal justice and like the feds and forensic sciences. That is when, which I love, this is where I became a forensic shrink, is the psychopath. And you said it, Kevin. Could you imagine, and I try to, and I've evaluated them before, a real psychopath to feel no remorse, no shame, no guilt, nada, for humiliating, exploiting, and victimize others.
Right. But they can mirror it, can't they, Doctor? They can mirror empathy.
Oh, well, that is one of the criteria which, for psychopaths and online psychopaths, because we also have, for real psychopaths, we have what's called the white collar and corporate psychopaths. Mm-hmm. So this is when we start to talk about senators, figures of states, leaders of banks, of Wall Street. In fact, the banking industry, and they've done research, it is suggested that if you want to find within a particular profession the highest rate of psychopaths live within Wall Street and in the banking world.
I believe that. Now, it's only 1% to 3% is what I've read. Is that accurate? Of our population that's psychopathic, that are psychopaths? That are psychopaths,
yes. Yeah. That are, so you have the corporate, the white collar, but now, because, as you said, and that's very important, there was a book, the Sociopath Next Door. To me, psychopath is they're synonymous to me. So I look at psychopath on a continuum of mild to where, and a lot of your listeners may not know, there was a movie from 1991 called Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yes.
And yes, and the character in that movie was Dr. Hannibal Lecter, which is an amalgamation of psychopathic traits, past serial killers. So, but that metaphor of Dr. Hannibal Lecter from that movie, and for your younger listeners who haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, it's a good time to go get it and watch it because it presents, the quintessential psychopath. Mm-hmm. In this movie, Dr. Hannibal Lecter is a serial killer, but it presents a lot of the traits of a true psychopath. But going forward, we now have what? Because psychopaths are charismatic, they are incredibly deceptive, and you said it, they try to cloak, and many of them are very successful. They cloak their true agenda, which is to objectify and victimize you, because psychopaths have no empathy.
Objectify meaning use you for something.
Of course. Right. But they cloak it with their charisma, okay? Because it's all about deception. They have no problem of looking dead in your face. And the real good psychopaths, they can even fake polygraphs. They can biological mechanisms, which we all have. When somebody is practicing deception, the really good psychopath, they don't even elicit that. That's how good they are. Well, guess what we have now, thanks to the information age, is cyberspace. To where if I'm a psychopath and I'm looking to objectify, well, gosh darn it, what's better than Facebook, G+, Instagram? Because in cyberspace, I can be whoever I want, and you're 1,000 miles away from me.
Yeah, it's a barrel of
fish. Right now,
fish,
Kevin, I'm here in New York. You're down in what, Virginia?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is some significant distance between you and I. Mm-hmm. That in and of itself, do you know what? Your internet trolls who are true psychopaths, your internet trolls who are psychopathic, they know that. They know there is a grand distance between themselves and their target. Because what they're finding through geographic forensics and stuff like that, your internet trolls are not going to be your next door neighbors. Your internet trolls are not even going to live in your town. It's possible. The vast majority of internet trolls, because they are spineless cowards, they're going to live at a distance from you. and they will make sure that they live at a distance from you.
Yeah. That's part of their safety net. It's, how do we differentiate that type of troll you just mentioned from a troll who's got some pretty big balls, willing to live in the same town and bully you? Are they just the old school bully with an online persona now? Or does it change once they get on the internet anyway?
Well,
Even the classical bully.
Oh, well, that brings up a very good point again, Kevin, because 2 nights ago I did a radio show, and, I need to qualify, is that what I had said in the, this is through my research and a lot of it's conjecture, but I think eventually I'll be proven correctly, is, and I want the listeners and the listener who wrote me, is that there's a subconstruct to iPredator called ODDOR, ODDOR. Anybody can go download my paper. Offline distress dictates online response. And what I believe, once again, it's theoretical, is that if my offline world, if I'm angry, if I'm psychologically evaluated, psychologically isolated, if I'm, depressed, stressed, distressed, it is going to reflect how I behave in cyberspace, both as an attacker and as a target. What they're starting to suggest as it relates to internet trolls is that internet trolls, the dark tetrad, is they're paralleling their offline perceptual world. Now, what I said in the recent radio show is just I didn't add perceptual world.
Okay.
Internet trolls, when they're out offline, they can be, pretty normal and present themselves. That's the psychopath. But what I'm adding is, to correct myself, is my offline perceptual world. What's going on between my ears? So in my perceptual world, in my college, in my high school, you're not going to know I'm grandiose and I think you're nothing but a piece of shit object because I keep that between my ears. But that is how I view myself. This is where this is the stuff about the internet trolls. Excuse me. But guess what? When I go in cyberspace, I let it all out.
Right.
And that is what I wanted to clarify. So when you're talking about those trolls that live down the street, well, if they live down the street, the first thing is you identify them, guaranteed their fear kicks in, because now that you're identified, you know what you can do, Kevin? You can get in your car, you go knock on their door.
Oh, God, will I be doing that if I get the chance?
And if you're a female, well, then the female gets her brothers or her sisters, and there are some females that can kick your ass. And
Ronda Rousey.
Right. So that is why you're finding that most internet trolls don't live in your town. They don't live down the road. They would be more like a cyber harasser. The vast majority of internet trolls live in different states and different parts of the world, and they know that. And that is part of the dark tetrad.
Right. That makes so much sense, because it's funny. You didn't know this because I didn't tell you, but the first part of tonight's show, which was kind of running defense, which I have to do on occasion, was involving two hosts particularly, and I think there might have been a third or fourth involved. I don't go listen to these shows that trash me. I have no interest in it. If they don't like me, they don't like me. But once there's something involved that could affect my kid, my antennae go up. And one of them is in Iceland, a New Yorker in Iceland, and the other one's in Canada. What a coincidence that is.
The farther, once again, I can't prove it yet, but it seems like the farther they live away, the more psychopathic they come. Like I said, the three that and you know who I'm talking about, trolls, because they'll listen to this, Kevin. Yeah, Riverside, California, you're a little bit closer. We'll get you real quick. But, we're dealing with two. One is from Lithuania. And where's the other one for Lithuania? Oh, Edinburgh, Scotland, which I'd love to go to Scotland. But these particular trolls are prominent within Google Plus. And, like I said before, Roy Recon Ghost, Rhino Warrior, Pinkie Pie, and the members of Anonymous, they will find, and we will, once they're identified, is we just involve, well, I don't know if it'll be the members of Anonymous, but I know myself with my contacts, is to contact Interpol. is
Absolutely.
to work